Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Entrepreneur Fellowship Podcast.
Yay, we took a little bit of a break, and I'm excited to be back in the studio, fellas. How about y'all?
Yep. Let's go.
Absolutely.
So it's exciting to have the goal to make $1 billion. It's even more exciting to have the goal to affect 1 billion people.
We are here fresh off of Jake, Kyle, and Isaiah going to the 10X conference.
You need to learn those skills to know that that person knows what they're doing, or else they hold the keys to your business.
And we are here to kind of hear how it went, guys. So.
Yeah, we got Isaiah here. So Isaiah usually does all of our social media. He comes in and records the podcast, but we wanted to have him on because you were there in the flesh.
Tag along with the team.
Yeah, buddy.
10X, baby, let's go.
Okay, so what'd y'all think?
Oh, it's a lot to unpack, but I think the overall experience was positive for me, and I don't know if everybody can share that same feeling, but if I could give it one word, was like I was disgusted with myself when I was there because I realized there are people doing so much better than we are, than most people are, and it made me disgusted. And I don't mean that in like a literal way, but I can just do so much better in everything.
I agree with that. I think it was positive and it was worthwhile for sure. It was 3 days of Grant Cardone. I mean, it was a lot, and there was some humorous points and whatnot, but the underlying thing that I took home as well is at what point in my life did I just start accepting mediocrity? I made a Facebook post about what as a kid I was going to be the president, an astronaut, a professional athlete, and now like it's okay if I just sit on the couch and eat Doritos on a weekend, and like if I just do that much, and if I just instead of comparing myself to someone super successful, why don't I just compare myself to someone a little bit less than me and make myself feel good? And the problem is then that translates, and then I start accepting that in relationships and in employees and other stuff, and then just my standard gets lowered. So this was a really eye-opening event for me to this time to raise the standard again.
Dude, I love that. So I write a book really, but I'm putting together kind of like a manuscript of my experiences in life that I hope to pass on to my sons at some point. And something I wrote, I'm not going to get it completely right, but every single time you have all of these expectations as a kid of what you could be or what you want to be. And every single time someone tells you can't, or you're not good enough, or who are you to think you can do that? It's like putting pieces of cotton in your ears. And all of a sudden, by the time you're 18, 21, 25, that muse that used to speak to you, you can no longer hear because of all the cotton, because of the words that people have told you. You can't hear anything from that muse anymore. And I think that's really, really good to pull that out of your ears and remember the things that you wanted, even if it was 2 years ago, 5 years ago, and really go after them. Because that's what is life worth if you can't go after the things you want. It's really good. I love that.
Yeah, beautifully said.
Isaiah?
I agree. Yeah, coming back to what you guys are saying about just feeling disgusted with myself, feeling like I could do more. I also try not to compare myself to everybody. I think just finding those ideal people, those ideal mentors that I want to like follow in their footsteps and just set those standards for myself to get to where they eventually are, and just having those goals written out and just trying to hitting your targets and not failing your own expectations.
So one of the biggest problems I've had when I go to conferences like this is I'm on fire. I'm excited. I come back and I'm like,
So
okay,
true.
now what? Now where do I go? So what are you guys implementing immediately? What are some of your key takeaways that I understand the whole you realize you have been letting yourself off the hook. Okay, so what are you going to do to mitigate that?
Haven't seen such a big change in any one person after one weekend as far as like effort and grit and grind. So I think what are you doing? Because you're bringing all types of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it hit a switch, and you kind of hit it right on. I felt bad. I sit here and I preach and I talk on podcasts about everybody should doing this, and I wasn't really even doing what I was saying. And so I just made a list of non-negotiables and a sheet of every single day. It's like a dozen to 20 tasks right now of every single day. These things non-negotiable must get done. And they're just the little tiny things. It's the blocking and tackling of growing my business. I have to post on Facebook. I have to do this. I realize the highest leveraged, best value, highest use of my time is calling on businesses. That's what really moves the needle. And so why in some months was I spending one random Tuesday, I would send out one email. Like literally that would be sometimes all I would put into buying businesses. And there's every other task I'm doing is just getting in the way of my highest value that I should be doing. So now it is an intentional 2 to 3 hours a day on business buying. And we've got a half a dozen really good opportunities in the hopper right now. And that's after less than 2 weeks of doing this.
Yeah, I just finished rereading The One Thing, and they talk a lot about how entrepreneurs are really good at being busy and lying to ourselves.
Guilty,
That because
yes.
we are busy, we are working hard, but we're not focusing on our highest dollar producing tasks. So how did you identify what those tasks were? I mean, it sounds like it was pretty easy for you. You knew right away it was reaching out to businesses and, you know, discussing acquisitions with them.
Yep. And then just kind of analyzing everything that I had been doing. And I was getting hit up a couple times a day by people on LinkedIn to have meetings with no clear agenda. And I was just it was to be busy. I was just taking all these random meetings and filling my schedule. And so I got much more disciplined with my time and starting with saying no instead of yes right away.
Are you time blocking that or just checklist?
To a degree. It's a checklist for sure at a minimum. And I am trying to do time blocking. But I think the main thing I'm doing is I have these tasks every day from a dozen to 20 items, and I don't miss them.
Did you set up any penalties if you don't hit your tasks?
I don't think I'd be able to go to sleep.
Me.
I really don't. I don't think I'd go to sleep right now. Like I am that committed to this.
Got it.
And the concern is, to your point earlier, is sometimes you leave these things and it's motivation, right? That motivation needs to be evolved into discipline. And my hope would be that after 2 weeks of this, this is who Kyle is now.
Jake, did anything change for you as far as goals go?
I wouldn't say as far as goals go. Coming home on Sunday on the airplane ride, you know, having that fire under our ass and really planning the next couple years on that airplane ride, I was ready to run through a brick wall. And then Monday morning, woke up with what I assume is COVID because, you know, everybody else that, you know, was in the same hotel room besides Kyle ended up, you know, I guess Isaiah, did you get sick?
No.
Okay, so Daniel tested positive for COVID, so it was like, and then I got it, and it was just like, crap. Like I had all this momentum, and then I got sick, the sickest I've been, and it was just like this itch that was like underneath my skin for those like 3 or 4 days I was down, and then I started to feel better, and boom, it was right back. And that's how I know that it's a really deep, almost embarrassing disgust that I had, because it usually that motivation would subside pretty quickly, and it didn't. And now it's all about operational excellence and how can I do the best I can with what I have, who I have, and how can I continue to get better at it every day. I've made more SOPs in the past week and a half than I have in the past year and a half.
For those who don't know, what's an SOP?
A standard operating procedure, just the way a task is done. So just getting it down in writing and teaching other people how to do it now, and spending more time with the guys and out in the field and just observing little things and trying to make them 1% better every single day. And I still just have the fire. I mean, I haven't slept in 26 hours and I'm ready to go.
A line that they said a number of times was unclear expectations lead to frustration. And so Jake and I, one of our aha moments was in our head, we expect it to be done a certain way, but our ability to articulate that to the employees is not up to par. And then we're getting frustrated, and they didn't really know exactly what the standard was, and we didn't communicate that effectively enough. And so we need to take a look in the mirror and take some blame on those.
Yeah.
I love that. That's seems to be a reoccurring theme, especially when talking about buying businesses and someone moving into a new spot of CEO, is those expectations that maybe the old CEO had that isn't really going to translate to your new goals. And I think it's really, really good to have those clearly defined, even for yourself and then for everyone who's working around you. Mm-hmm. It's really good. Love that.
And I think that, you know, the whole 10X thing and, you know, the sound of 10X now just kind of is like
nauseating.
Yeah. And
I was getting kind of hype.
I honestly felt like it was kind of like almost like cult-ish when we were there. I've never been like tried to get sold so hard on something over and over and over. But being in a room with people that have businesses twice, 3 times, 10 times, 10x, 20 times as big as your business that they've started and grinded. It's like, okay, you know, what is my excuse, right? Of course, they've been in business for a long time, etc. But we are capable of a lot more. And when you get in rooms that you are probably one of the smallest fish, you're probably going to feel pretty crappy, right? And that can either break you or it can make you. So I think you're going to see a different version of us over the next 12 months for sure.
Beyond motivation, what were some of the tangible, implementable, is that a word? Implementable? Should be.
It is today.
Implementable things that you learned.
Nothing.
What are some things that people can take and implement in their business beyond just like getting hyped up and knowing that you can do more?
I honestly, it's like, I want to, you know, drop a nugget that we received, but it was very, very big picture. I feel like the one thing I did learn was how to optimize a job posting and how to optimize it for SEO, optimize it for your company, especially via Indeed. And that was something I didn't know.
They intentionally didn't give us actionable items with the sign up for this 2-day $40,000 program, and we'll show you how we make the sausage type of a approach to it. So
This is just stepping in the kitchen. We'll show you the secret sauce.
yeah,
For 40K.
40 grand in 48 hours of time, we'll make you wildly successful. There's a bunch of 20-year-old kids selling us this that have never owned a business before. So it wasn't at no point did I feel like I needed to buy this whatsoever. I'm more so I was like, I mean, you haven't shared any information with me that would prove to me that this is a good place to stick my money. But reading between the lines, I think something I took was of us doing a better job sharing the vision with the employees, right? When we tell the employees, like, we want to do a $5 million of profit so we can exit for $60 million in the next 5 years, like, why would they? And
Why do they care?
Not that we're saying that to our employees, but whenever we talk about growth and whatnot, like, why do they care? What does that mean to them? So how can we articulate our message in a better way that makes them feel like they're an integral part of this and they're along for the ride? And this is right as we were hiring a new employee. And so the timing of all that was perfect, right?
Yeah, I was literally writing a job description on the plane ride there for hopefully a general manager in training type of position, right? And so that really hit home.
How do they suggest, how do they suggest you implement that same vision?
Yeah, because your $20 an hour guy does not care about your exit in 5 years. How in the world do you get their buy-in?
I remember. So instead of maybe the big picture profit XYZ, one thing that I've already started to adopt, and I don't even think Kyle knows this, but if we get to XYZ, this is where we can start offering medical benefits, right? We can start offering obviously more money and better working conditions, but we can start offering the other things that cleaning companies just don't offer.
Are you going to actually write that down, put it on a whiteboard so that everybody sees that number? Or is that, I mean, how do you make that so it's not, a dangling carrot that, is way off in the distance? Are you actually going to put a number on the board?
I've put 2026
Is a year.
as the year.
Why would you do a time as opposed to a number? Because I would assume it's based more so off of a number. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just asking.
I think for me, it's our employees and just the avatar of our employees. I don't want to rub people the wrong way when we talk about big numbers.
Got
right?
it.
But
So it's more relatable or understandable for them if you put a date as opposed to
Yeah,
a number.
and that's kind of the fine tuning of this whole thing is, hey, when we hit $12 million in revenue, then we're going to give you this. And the employee's like, you're making $12 million. I'm making
no, that makes
$19
sense.
an hour.
Totally makes sense.
Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? I'm not gonna be around for that. But what was Jake? It was personal, professional, financial.
yeah, I get that. That's
Some
another,
advice they
that's
gave
a-
there of,
That's another one. So we've all had jobs, right? So we've all worked for somebody else. And when we had a job, when has our manager or boss sat down with us and asked us, hey, what are your personal goals? What are your professional goals? And what are your financial goals? And after you hear them, one, you truly have to care, and then come up with a plan of how to get them there, whatever that may be. And just the fact that your employer or manager asks you those questions and you have really good dialogue back and forth. And I've done that with 3 people so far, and I want to continue to do it as the time goes on. And I definitely am going to do it for all new hires and maybe even part of interviews, right? So, because your employees have to buy in. If they don't buy in,
that's some good information to have at an interview, man, for sure. Because if you get the answers to those questions, you kind of have the fiber of that person.
100%. And we genuinely have the resources and the tools to help them accomplish some of these goals. And so if we were a partnership in life with them outside of just the employment, hey, if you save X amount of money and in 401ks, and if you want to buy real estate, like let's look at what a plan could look like for that. And really, we're much deeper than just an employer at that point. And there was a study, and it was like people making under $30 an hour like that. It was either like money was either number 2 or number 3 on everybody's list. It was like
what's most important to an employee, and
there's like recognition was most people's number 1.
Yeah,
there was some other stuff you wanted.
Appreciation, and then there was one other. I think benefits were
could be. It was along the same, but the actual hourly pay was like number 2 or number 3,
and that's
almost
across
everybody.
A ton of different industries.
Yeah,
like $30 an hour or less.
Yeah, I saw a stat recently that, whatever, I'm not going to say the actual percentages because I don't remember it, but a majority of employees would take less money for 30 hours a week versus, more money for 40. Even if it meant like, lower pay in general. So, no, I mean, that is across the board. Yeah, quality of life is more important than money to employees often. You wouldn't know that unless you had those conversations with them. So what made you guys decide to go to this conference? How did you guys get tickets, and why did you make this move?
We got them from a cleaning company in Spokane that we're going to be purchasing with one of our mentees. It actually just fell apart yesterday, so it's no longer happening, but it got us this cool experience at least, and we were brought in. The people that he was going to buy the company from are, I think they paid $1 million to be in Grant Cardone's upper echelon mentorship program. And so they get free tickets to give out.
Yeah.
Probably as often as they want. 500,000 for their program.
They're elite 125.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, and as one of you guys' employees too, I thought it was really cool to just come along with you guys and that experience and see what you guys are doing, like behind the scenes, off social media, working on your business in different ways. It was really motivating, eye-opening for me, and it really did. Like you guys are saying, I'm more bought into your guys' vision now because I understand that you guys care about my personal, financial, and professional growth. And I also get to see the motivation. And after being in a room like that, it's 10x.
Yeah. And you're not an employee. You're a partner.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
How do you prioritize after going to an event like that? I'm sure you felt disgusted, to use your words, not just with how you are treating your business, but also, maybe some things personally, your health, your, maybe relationships, maybe your faith, etc. How do you not get overwhelmed by I'm speaking about, myself and with my experience when I go to these events, sometimes I'm like, I want to do everything at once, and I can't, it's really hard for me to focus on, what is the one thing for me. And then maybe I have my one thing in business, and then I have to go decide, well, I also want to get in better shape. I also want to, have a better relationship with my wife, et cetera. So how do you balance that? Because there is only so much time in the day, and you only have so much bandwidth. So do you pick and choose? Do you try to satisfy all those needs? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it's a hard one, right? I know since I've been back, excluding the few days I was sick, like I haven't been in the gym as much as I have in the past 2 weeks, even feeling not great as I have in the past 2 months. And it helps. I'm getting married in a couple weeks, but relationships can't be better, and faith can't be stronger. And I think you carry it over to every part of life, but I don't think it's about the amount of time you spend in the business or on the business. It's the quality of the time and the efficiency of the time. That's the only thing that's changed. I don't think we've truly worked more hours as far as we've optimized the hours that we have worked.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think being super intentional.
Yeah.
How effective can I be? How efficient can I be? You're right. Yeah, the amount of hours we're working couldn't really have gone up a whole lot in all fairness. So cutting out the crap, cutting out the fat, stop taking random meetings with random people just because they said they want to talk. just being super intentional with my time and in making sure that I hit those really high value tasks every single day. And I just don't miss a beat. And I just keep thinking of, because Ray Lewis was, that was my favorite part of the weekend. He brought the fire, but I just don't miss my blocks and tackles. No one can out fundamental me.
Talk to us a little bit more about Ray Lewis. What were some of his important messages and takeaways?
You guys have listened to his halftime speeches or some sort of YouTube
Some of
talks,
them,
I'm
yeah.
sure. I mean, he's built different. The whole weekend we're listening to Brandon Dawson, who's definitely a good speaker, but then Ray Lewis comes out and he's just, I would put him in the top maybe half a dozen speakers in the world, right? I mean, him and Ed Milet, and they completely control the world, the room differently, and like everybody's on the edge of their seat. Do you have some main messages?
And I really liked Ray Lewis's part too, because he's huge in his faith, and it really turned into more of a sermon than it did anything else.
Yeah.
Right. And it was really cool. Just a couple of notes that I have from him. It's cool to have a goal to make $1 billion. It's cooler to affect 1 billion people. And that, I directly related that to obviously employees, but also about like the amount of money that I want to make. And I know that I do not want to make money because I want all this crazy lavish lifestyle. It's just not me. I don't think it ever will be me, but I do want to make an impact on a lot of people, and big problems take big money to solve. So another one, a righteous man falls 7 times, but gets up 8. And if you want more responsibility, be prepared for more responsibility, because you have to be prepared for what you ask for. And I can't honestly say before this trip, I was really prepared for more responsibility. And it took kind of some harder conversations and really shedding the fat and realizing that we're only 2 human beings that have a certain amount of bandwidth. And I think that we always said, like, when we bought a business, we didn't realize, we always say we're busy, then we buy a business and we're like, oh, we weren't busy at all.
Yeah.
I don't think I can get any more busy now. So now it's time to work more efficiently instead of work more or work harder.
Yeah,
That's good.
That is really good.
You always think that you're completely slammed until something else punches you in the face, and you got to get back up off the mat and keep fighting and keep going. You're like, well, I think I'm pretty busy now. And then something else happens. And now you're like, oh man, well, you just wait, dude. You're going to get married. Kids are going to be thrown into the mix. I mean, you will continually be stretched and molded. And I think, like you said, just being prepared for that extra responsibility, working as an optimized human instead of just sitting in front of your computer and getting busy work done for 3 hours. You optimizing that time to make sure that you're being effective in what you're doing. So important. And I'm living that right now, dude. Like just trying to figure out
full.
exactly what I need to do in that moment and being better. Something that I didn't realize that I was really poor at was switching tasks quickly and effectively. So being able to go from one thing to another thing and doing it well and doing it fast and not taking 15, 20 minutes to switch, being able to just switch. So all of those things kind of combined into being effective in business and in life. But sometimes it takes you being punched in the face to realize you did have more bandwidth and you are able to keep fighting.
Yeah, no, that's really good. Me taking a random 10:30 in the morning meeting for a 30-minute meeting, that actually interrupts my day a full hour. 10 minutes
or more.
If not more. Yeah. I'm doing a little bit of time preparing at least, and then 10 minutes before the meeting starts isn't quite enough for me to start a new task. So I'll just kill 8 minutes on Facebook real quick while I wait for that call to start. And then after that, now I'm going to go get a quick snack. And all of a sudden, like, you're right, more probably.
2 hours.
It could throw off 2 hours of your day taking one meeting. So why not have Mondays and Fridays be my meeting days? Or I only take meetings first thing in the morning or very, very end of the day. But you don't get to get in the middle of my calendar.
Mm-hmm. So I have a question about that. So before in November or whenever it was that we decided to partner with you guys on the fellowship, it was an interesting time for me. I'm going to tie this back into what you just said, but I feel like this background might help with my question. I had recently really hyper-focused on, what is my main focus, and what are my non-negotiables and so on. And then we interviewed Jake on the podcast, and we started learning about business buying, and I was like, oh, holy shit. And part of me pushed back on it a little bit because I was like, okay, I'm not saying that's not a brilliant, a good idea, but that's not my number one focus. And it took me a while to get into the business mind thing because that's not my number one thing. That's not my highest and best use. I'm good at selling real estate. I can make good money selling real estate. I'm growing that business, et cetera, et cetera. And if I had stuck to that, I could have missed out on opportunities that Andrew and I will talk about in later episodes that we're looking into now in the business mind world. So let me ask a question now. How do you know if you are being prudent and wise and sticking to your non-negotiables, or if you're being a bitch and this is an opportunity that you need to step up and find time and make it happen? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
Yes, but what are the things where Kyle is being a bitch about?
Oh, I'm not saying you were being a bitch. No, I'm saying, so somebody wants to meet with you, right? Someone
Yep.
wants to meet with you.
Yep.
And how do you identify if that is a waste of time or if that is a potential opportunity that if you don't take that meeting, you might be missing out on an opportunity? Do you get what I'm saying? I respect what you're saying. You're
Yep.
saying my time is too valuable. I can't do that. But what if that meeting could open a door that you didn't even know was available?
It could. I obviously didn't invent this theory myself. Like I looked at people that have what I want, and a lot of them are doing that with their calendar. So that's where I want to go. I want to take advice from people that have what I want. Everybody has advice and opinions. So my quickest thing I do is the place I get these most random invites is on LinkedIn, and I just really quickly look at their profile. And this is way oversimplifying, but I have to. I just cannot meet with everybody. I don't see any value based off of what you've presented here is to how this is going to help me. And maybe this 2.0 phase of this is sending a message back saying, hey, I'm super busy. What would the agenda be? What were you hoping to get out of this conversation?
Got it.
And then,
Okay.
And then determining from there. But right now, honestly, I'm just ignoring them.
Got it. It's a totally fair answer. It's just something I struggle with all the time. It's like, am I being a wimp?
It's very unlikely a random meeting is going to be more valuable to growing my empire than my non-negotiables that I'm doing every day. So I prioritize those.
So it's not necessarily that won't potentially open the door. It's that, again, there is only so much time in the day and I cannot do everything. So I have to focus on my highest and best use and, just make sure you're hyper focused on that. And then maybe time blocking in, exploring those options, but at a very specific time.
And my hope would be is if someone has a life-changing opportunity for me, they would articulate it a little bit better than, hey, I would love to learn more about what you're doing. You want to chat tomorrow?
Love to pick your brain.
Love to pick your brain.
Yeah, it's
all the time.
It's taken us months to really kind of start to hash this out and figure out what the future is going to look like. But I think that the burden of proof is on the person who allegedly has an opportunity for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you don't see that right away, that's on them and not on you. And it's a bit of a different. I understand the question, but we are considering completely changing the trajectory of where we're going as a career, as a life.
You're talking about me and you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Kyle's talking about like just really tightening up the life he's already chosen. And I think in both senses, the burden of proof is on the person who's requesting your time and your presence. And hey, buddy, we're going to completely change things up. The burden of proof is on me and on them and on us learning.
Yeah.
If I wanted to talk to Alex Hormozy, I wouldn't say, hey, can I pick your brain?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
No, that's good. And I think that being just so dialed in on what our agreed upon kind of direction is. An example of this, and we're still getting better at this, like we don't have it figured out, right? And Kyle called me maybe yesterday or the day before with a home care business out of Arizona or something.
I'm good for one of these every 2 weeks, probably.
and the thing is, like, before he could finish kind of telling me about it, like, so I said, I was like, not interested. Like, just, I don't know enough. It's going to take away from this if I have to go and learn this, and this is going to stall. And I can't afford to do it because there is no plan B. The boats are burned, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't going to bring this up, and now that you made it public, that actually stuck with me pretty good. Right.
Really?
Right. I was like, dude, he's right. What in the world was I talking about?
And I was really trying not to be like disrespectful about it because
you were right.
We have an agreed upon mission. It's Rainier EF. That's it. There's nothing else. And I think if we stay focused like that, because we have not been focused like that over the past year. We've entertained things here and there.
Worms.
Yeah, worms. Yeah, you probably spent like too much time with worms. That text message you sent to me about it
was already too much time.
Yeah, it was. But I mean, I have things too that I'll send or that I'll talk about that I shouldn't do. He's definitely not the only one. So I think just we have to stay focused. And if you're going to build that $30 million company, like, you're not going to be able to do it by having side pieces, here and there.
Yeah, I agree with you. For the record, I really struggle with personally FOMO. I'm always concerned that if I, don't take this call, it could be, an opportunity, even when I'm in the middle of a time blocking session, and that's not right. And I defend it by saying like, oh no, you're always, available for opportunities. It's just something I struggle with. So that's why I was asking the question.
No, it's a good question.
I wasn't accusing you of being a bitch, Kyle.
It is a good question. And very well, I might miss one good opportunity to do that.
But you're okay with that because you're building your foundation.
I know if I stick to this path, this is a really, really, really good path.
Yeah, no, that's a fair answer.
Do you think you guys will go to another conference again by Grant Cardone?
Oh, absolutely freaking not.
That was quite the time commitment from us, and I got some nuggets for sure. But every time I listen to a 30-minute Alex Hormozy or Cody Sanchez or Ed Milet,
you get the same amount of nuggets from one
30
podcast.
minutes,
Yep.
and I got a page worth of notes that gives me that motivation for the next 7 days. And then I go watch another little 30-minute video and boom, I'm back at it again.
Yeah.
So,
but I will say this one, I feel like for me it was really a mindset shift and a lens shift more than anything. And I will go to other conferences, but this was advertised as a home service based conference. It was advertised as a cleaning conference, or at least a day of it. So that's why we were pumped up about it. And it was nothing like that. It was completely, I would say, mismarketed, false advertising.
Intentionally, though.
Intentionally.
Yes.
Oh, 100%. And everybody kind of knew it. Like, we met a guy at the pool that, are you guys here for the roofing conference?
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, no, we're here for the cleaning conference.
And it turns out we were neighbors
At the
inside
same
the
one.
conference. And landscaping, and they
It
have
was a vertical conference, and
brilliant marketing.
it was very good marketing.
Really, really good marketing.
Yeah,
But deceptive at best.
I would love to go to conferences that are cleaning related or home service related, for sure.
Isaac and I are looking at junk removal stuff, and there's something called Junk Con that happens in California, and I'm seriously considering going. I've been watching a bunch of the guys on YouTube and gals who are doing it at a high level. They're all going to be there. It seems like a really cool place to go and just meet other people who are doing kind of the same thing. So I think that there's a lot of value in that, maybe more than just a 2 or 3 day sales pitch.
I will also say, like, something I really enjoyed. Me and Kyle, like, we don't really hang out outside of like work. We talk on the phone every day, sometimes hours a day, but we don't really get to hang out